Okay, so we'll start off laying on your back with your knees bent and your feet flat on the floor. And you're going to begin by bringing your knuckles down to the ground and just rolling your hands up over your head, trying to keep your knuckles on the floor. As you just kind of stretch out through your shoulder and your arms. Take in a deep breath here and kind of push your fingertips away from you so you kind of open up through the shoulder. And then exhale, sliding your hands back down along the sides until your fingers find your heels, just about right about there. So we're going to begin by pushing up your heels, raising your hips up towards the ceiling, pretty much as high as you can go. Lower back down slowly, and then crunch up as high as you can with keeping your feet on the floor. So you can leave your hands here or down here, whichever feels right for you, but we're going to do a hip raise and a crunch, coming back and forth in between each one. So if every 2 is 1, we're going to do 10. So that's 3 for me. 4. And what this is doing is it's kind of loosening up everything in your lumbopelvic hip complex and priming your body for a greater degree of work. And then once you get to 10, you can pause and rest at the bottom for a second. And then we're just going to kind of lift up your bum and settle your bum down on your hands, because you know what they say about idle hands, right? Oh. So we're going to straighten out your legs and then lift your legs up so that they're not quite over your hips, but they stop just above that point. And we're going to do leg lifts coming up and down. We're going to do a set of 20 of these. But you're not raising high enough that you get a break at the top. You're just raising high enough that you're constantly feeling your abs engaged. Again, this kind of stresses out your lower back. You can bend at the knees to reduce that strain, and you still get a good benefit in your lower abs. But try to keep your legs as straight as you can while maintaining that tension at the top. Whenever you get to 20, you get to 20. You'll bring your heels back down to the floor. Okay. And then bringing your hands either behind your head or across your chest, doesn't matter which. We're going to crunch up as high as you can and then come on back down. We're going to do 25 of these good strong crunches. Think about holding it at the top of each crunch just for a moment so you really get that good strong squeeze in your abs. If you have your hands behind your head, just try to maintain a little space between your chin and your chest. So you're not pulling on your head, but it's your abs that are squeezing strong enough to bring you up and down. Whenever you get to 25, you can put your hands back under your bum. We're going to do a set of 30 flutter kicks. So for flutter kicks, every 2 is 1. So keeping your feet off the floor, just kicking one foot over the other. And think about keeping the movement coming out of your hips and not your knees. So you're not doing this, which is cute, but it doesn't really do anything. But keeping your legs straight so the movement's coming out of your hip socket, and that way your lower abs kind of really have to work. Think about breathing deep and evenly while you're doing it. And whenever you get to 30, you're like, woohoo! Go. Crossing your right ankle over your left knee. We're going to do figure 4 crunches, crunching straight up and down. So both hands go behind your head, and we're going to crunch your chin towards your shin, trying to get as close to it as you can. Again, you're not pulling on your head here, but your hands are just supporting your head. We're going to do 15 on each side. If this feels really easy and you want to make it a little bit harder, lift up your left leg off the floor. Oh, and that makes it too hard for this guy. Whenever you finish your 15, just switch sides. And go for another set of 15. Bringing both shoulder blades up off the mat. So good. Rest for a hot second, straightening out your legs, reaching your hands over your head, pushing out through the heels of your feet and the heels of your hands. Taking a deep breath, long exhale. Cool. So with your knees bent, we're going to straighten out your right leg along the floor and reach your left hand over your head along the floor. Bring your right hand on your belly button, because what they say about idle hands. And what we're going to do is raise your right foot and touch your toes with your left fingertips. So your left shoulder blade has to roll up off the mat and then come back down. It doesn't have to be that slow, but we're going to go for 15 on each side. If your neck starts to get a little stressed out, you can put your right hand behind your head to give you a little bit of support. Whenever you get to 15, switch sides. And that's one of those ones where you can kind of end up walking up the mat a little bit, so sometimes you just got to readjust. So straightening out your left leg, right hand goes over your head and crunching up to touch those toes. 15 times. Once you get fit to 15, you're like, that's awesome. You're going to put your hands underneath your bum again. We're going to go back to a lower ab exercise. So this one is a vertical hip raise. So your legs are straight up over your hips. And what we're going to do is kind of kick your butt up off the floor and then lower it down as slowly as possible. Ideally slower than what I just did. We're going to go for 15 of these. And as you kick up, try to think about keeping your feet directly over your hips. So it's not like you're rocking your feet up over your head as you come up, which looks kind of weird and sloppy. But you're just using your lower abs to kick up and lower down softly. In a perfect world, you hold it at the top and then lower down really slow. Once you get to 15, stop for a second, straighten out your legs and your arms, stretching out your abdominal wall again. We'll get ready to do a little bit of concentrated oblique work. Obliques are these muscles here on the sides. So what we're going to do is bring both hands straight out to the sides along the floor and bring your knees and feet together. And we're going to roll them all the way over to one side. So your knees and hips are still stacked up over one another. We're going to bring both hands behind your head. And if your knees are over on the left side, we're going to crunch your left shoulder blade up off the floor. Oh. Trying to keep your knees together. 15 times. Again, your hands are just supporting your head, but not yanking your head. It's not like if you pull your head hard enough that you'll work your abs. Five more. What we're doing is shortening the space between your rib and your hip. Whenever you're done your 15, straighten out both arms along the floor. Bring your knees up and roll them all the way over to the other side. Keeping your knees and feet stacked up over one another. Both hands come behind your head and crunch your right shoulder blade up off the floor if you're doing your right side. Once you finish your 15, we're going to come all the way over onto your side and resting on your forearm. Okay, so we're going to do rib rakes. So keeping your feet stacked over one another and keeping that shoulder really strong. We're going to come up to float. So you have like this one long line between the crown of your head and your heels. And take that hand, pretend it's a rake. And we're going to rake across your ribs and rake it up towards the ceiling. So we're going to do 10 of those. So you're reaching underneath, like as if you were raking your yard, for those of us who do yard work. Jim, reaching far underneath you, like you're going to rake underneath some bushes. And the further that you twist and the further that you come up, the better it is for your obliques and your core and your back. Whenever you finish your 10, switch sides. Also resettling so that shoulder's really strong. Posting up. Charlie, if you're doing these on your bed, you can do these on your back. Just try to roll one hip up off the floor as you come up. 3, 4. Great. Once everyone's finished their 10s of those, we're going to come into a downward facing dog. Right. So, the way that this next exercise is going to look, you're in your downward dog and you're like, this is awesome. And we're going to reach one hand to touch your opposite toe. So you're crossing underneath, right? So coming back and just switching which side you're going for. We're going to go for a set of 20 total, 10 on each side. Trying to keep your back as straight as you can. So as you're reaching for that opposite toe, your abs kind of have to shorten. Whenever you get to 20, finish, we'll stop and come onto hands and knees. All right, so on hands and knees, pushing your heart away from the floor. You're going to reach your right arm out in front of you and push your left heel straight back behind you. So this is the beginning position. And once you're here, it's really important to keep that back leg as straight as can be, so like you're pushing your heel to the wall behind you, and all the while you're sucking up your belly button into your core so you have a nice strong back. Then we're going to connect elbow to knee under your body, and then extend, going for that same length and really strong core. Exhale to connect, inhale to extend. Exhale to connect, inhale to extend. Exhale to connect. We can do 5 more of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Reach out and we'll come on back. Take a moment to resettle. I'm going to do that same deal. So I don't know if you can see yourself in your own camera, but if you can kind of watch and see if your back kind of humps up or if it kind of collapses through your lumbar spine. I'm going to try to do neither. So reaching your left arm out in front of you, right heel straight back behind you, pushing that right heel far away so your leg is really strong and engaged. Exhale to connect. Inhale to extend. Exhale to connect. Inhale to extend. And just keep on going. Going for 10 total. And then whenever you finish your 10, you can stop for a second and rest in child's pose just for a moment. Okay, so we're going to come into a forearm plank with rotation. So what that kind of looks like is you come into your plank, and then we're going to roll to drop one hip down towards the floor, and then roll to drop your other hip down towards the floor. We're going to go for time. We're starting right now. We're going to go for 60 seconds. Go at your own pace, so you're not really stressing out your back, but you can feel your obliques kind of work at the bottom of each twist. We got 30 seconds left. Fifteen seconds to go. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Oh. Those are good. Okay, so we'll get you laying flat on your back again. And with your feet together, we're going to drop your knees open out to the sides so that the soles of your feet are pressing in and legs are opening out. You're going to put one hand over the other like you're diving into a swimming pool. And we're going to do 3 crunches, and that counts as 1. So we're going to crunch up to your right knee, crunch along the center, and then crunch to your left knee. So that's 1. We're going to do 10 of these. Right knee, center, left knee. 2. Right knee, center, left knee. 3. Center, left knee. 4. Center, left knee. 5. Right knee. Center, left knee. 6. Right knee. Center, left knee. 7. Right knee. Center, left knee. 8. Right knee. Center. 9. One more. Too good. Too much fun. Okay. So this next one is it's a little bit weird, but we'll see how it goes. So what we're gonna do is connect an elbow to a knee. So let's do right elbow to right knee, and extending your left arm and your left foot out along the floor. And from here, we're gonna rock front and back. Three more rocks. And come down and rest. So the leg that's out straight, you can kind of use that to initiate the rock. But we're going to try and connect left elbow to left knee. Right arm raises up over your head, right foot goes out, and then 10 rocks. Cool. Okay, so lifting up your feet off the floor, creating a tabletop with your shins, and flexing your toes towards you. We're going to cross your wrists and press your hands into your thighs and your thighs into your hands for 30 seconds. So pushing as hard as you can with your legs into your hands and providing that resistance with your arms. As you keep pushing, we got 15 more seconds to go. Keep pushing with everything you got. 4, 3, 2, 1. You're good. And then we'll roll all the way over onto your tummy. So we're going to do Superman to cactus. So it looks something like this. Superman flies up, arms and legs come up, and then he turns into a cactus, drawing your scapula down towards your back, straightening out your arms, and then lowering back down. We're going to go for 5 of these. Go at your own pace. You can do these nice and slow. The object here is to strengthen your lower back and upper back. As you do this, try to keep your neck neutral. So you're just staring down at the floor right in front of you, and you're not arching your head up. Right, and then whenever you finish your 5, we'll come back into child's pose for a moment, just stretching out that lower back that we just worked. And then coming back onto your forearms, we're going to do an around the world plank. So around the world plank, we go on your toes and your hands, keeping your hips down low to the floor. And we're going to raise one arm up for 15 seconds. You can start right now. Try to keep your hips level with the floor so you're not rolling open. And dropping that right arm down, right foot comes up behind you, pushing out through the heel. And 5 more seconds. Good, drop that down. Left foot comes up behind you. Pushing out through the heel. Keeping your core strong. 5 more seconds. Good, and then left arm comes up in front of you. And trying to keep your hips level with the floor so you're not rolling too far open. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And coming on down. Coming to sit in a comfortable position. So lengthening out through your spine. We're going to inhale, raising both hands up over your head. Drop your right hand down by the side. And then bending at the elbow. So you can drop your elbow almost down to the floor and extend that left arm up over you, rolling your left shoulder blade over the right and taking the gaze underneath your left biceps. Give a good smell into your armpit. Squeeze to come back up to center. And switching sides. Left hand coming down. And then bending at the elbow, so you extend your right arm over your head and then rolling your right shoulder blade over left. Take the gaze up towards the ceiling, smell your right armpit. Oh, so good. Back up to center. And glitter fingers down by the sides. That's it. Thank you so much for joining me for this 30-minute core workout. Make sure to tune in on Monday morning, 9 a.m. for the full body version of this.